Hello and welcome all my dear friends. Yesterday we had set a target for ourselves. That is, we will get at least an exemption in the paper law. And the exemption means at least 60 marks. So whenever you are going to go for a target such as getting 60 marks in law, you would require a proper strategy for it. And for that purpose itself, I am bringing to you a series of videos which will explain to you how to get exemption in company law. The first of this series, today I am going to discuss with you how to study law. This is a question which comes to the mind of many of the students as to how to study law. Many students study law just by mugging it up. Some students say rectifying is a good way of doing law. But let me tell you, since the last 2 to 3 years, ICAI, ICSI, and ICMAI, all three professional institutes have started putting in practical case study based question in the question paper. So you can go ahead and check any of the question papers for the last 8 to 7 exams and you will only see case study based question, no theoretical, no direct question. That means there has to be a shift in the way we approach this subject. So first of all, let me break one myth that most of the students, especially CA students, have. The myth is that most of the students feel that law is a theoretical subject. Let me tell you that it is not a theoretical subject, it is a practical subject. Until you don't change your approach that it is a practical subject, you will not be able to get an exemption in law. Hence, law is a conceptual subject which has practical application, because all the questions that come into the examination are case study based question or conceptual MCQs. Hence, what should be the approach to study law? Let us look into it. I have bifurcated this approach into 4 steps, at least 4 steps. The 2 most important steps, which are the foundation of studying law, is first, conceptual clarity. You need to have conceptual clarity or conceptual understanding of the Companies Act or any law that you are studying. How do you get this conceptual understanding? Just by plain reading, would you get a conceptual understanding? Absolutely not. Like any other practical subject, like you do accounts, you do costing, only by reading the theory would you be able to understand the concepts of costing or the concepts of taxation, concepts of accounts. No. What you will have to do is that you will have to ask some questions whenever you are doing some provisions. The questions will be, why such a provision has been put into the Companies Act? Like, for example, many of the provisions in Companies Act just are there for compliance purposes. For compliance purposes. That is, the company needs to file a special resolution with the ROC within 30 days. This is a compliance provision. So why would be that to check that the company is adhering to the corporate governance measures or not, whether the company's governance is transparent or not, that is the reason such a provision has been put. So this question of why should be answered. Okay. Then what exactly is the provision trying to remedy, or what exactly is the provision providing to solve a particular issue? That is the second question that you should be having. The third question will be, when are there any timelines that has been provided? Are there any timelines which have been provided in the provision? Such as the example that I gave, it has to be filed with the ROC within how many days? 30 days. That is a timeline. You should know the timeline very, very well. Okay. Next, how? Whether there is a particular procedure to it. Normally, procedures are provided in rules. So we have to understand the procedure also. And lastly, we have to, since law is something which has to be adhered by the company or the person to whom the law is applicable, then we should also know if the provision is not adhered to, it is not complied to, then what happens in that situation? So there might be a penalty or even a punishment for the same. So in every provision of any law, especially company law, you have to see to it that you have to answer these questions. If you have answered these questions, then you have understood it conceptually. Then any question which would come, may it be MCQ or may it be your question answer, that is case study based question, you will be able to very easily understand the question and apply the concept. Okay. For this purpose, you may also use flowcharts or even summaries. So you can create your own flowcharts. You can create your own summary. For example, if there is a procedure which has to be understood, then you must create a flowchart. It will give you a very clear picture of what it is. If you have seen all my lectures till now, you would have seen that I always draw, or in my PPTs also, I have created flowcharts to understand it. And you can also understand the concept by segregating the provision into smaller parts, segregating into smaller parts. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you. Conceptual understanding is extremely important because ratification will not work. You have to have conceptual knowledge to answer this MCQ based question. MCQ based question are also going to be case study based, conceptual questions which are going to come. So this is the first part. For this, either you can do self-study or you can take guidance from any of the teachers that you are well versed with, or you can also see YouTube videos such as my videos, which will give you absolute conceptual clarity and also cover ICI module completely. Okay, that's the first part. Second part is, once you have the conceptual understanding, only the conceptual understanding will not do much. See, accounts we are doing, we have conceptual understanding as to how a balance sheet has to be drawn, as to which item which go where. But till we don't apply these concepts, we will not be mastering the subject. We will not get a grip on the topic. Hence, we'll have to, the second part is we'll have to do application of such concepts or provision. So first is understanding, second is application. So both these points have to be covered by us. How do we ensure that application of concepts of provisions are done? We have to solve case study based questions. We have to solve examples or illustrations which have been given in the ICI module or whichever institute's module you are referring to. You'll have to solve past exam questions, and if any illustrations which are given in any of the materials that you are referring to. The more you do this, the more application skills you will develop on such concepts or provisions. Okay. One more important tip that I want to give you is, in case study based question, you have to read the question twice. Question is more important in case study based questions rather than answers. So whenever you are reading any question bank or any scanner or any past exam questions, do ensure that you read the questions at least twice before coming to the answers. Okay. Next is understand the crux and the provisions applicable. Once you have read the question twice, understand what is the question, what is the problem that the question is trying to address, and what is it expecting from you. Which provision will be applicable in such kind of a question? This is something that you have to think about. Okay. Take a piece of paper and write over there in rough in points as to what is the crux and what are the provisions applicable before you look into the answers. Apply the provisions and then you match with the answers. So this is how you will develop an application skill. Normally every student will only do reading. They will not concentrate on conceptual understanding. And if there are students who have concentrated on conceptual understanding, they will not concentrate on application concepts. So you will have to have a combination of both the strategy to ensure that you are able to give very good quality answers and correct answers in the subject of law. That is how you will score more than 60 marks. Okay. There are two more important points which are to be done. One is presentation part and other is revision is the most important thing. So presentation and revision is also extremely important as to how to present the answers in case study based questions and how to revise. Are there any revision methods? I would be coming up with separate videos on both these parts. So stay tuned to this channel. You will be having many more videos coming, which will help you, which will give you tips in scoring more than 60 marks for your company law subject. So if you've understood this strategy that I have so far explained in this lecture, then please like the video, share the video with your friends, and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot.